Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of the Marketing Guides for Small Business podcast. I'm Jeff Steck from Tylerica Marketing Systems in Austin, Texas, and joining me today are Ian Kentel from Outsource Marketing in Toronto, Canada. Hi, Ian. And Ken Tucker and Paul Barthel from Changescape Web in St. Charles, Missouri. Wave, Paul. Okay, hi. So let's dive in. We're going to talk about CRMs today. And our title of the podcast is What Does CRM Mean to You? And we very specifically titled that because CRM can mean different things to different people. CRMs have evolved from being simple contact managers to complex systems that facilitate many functions within a business. And because of this evolution, it means a lot of different things depending on how you're using it or how you want to use it or how you think you can use it. So today we'll demystify customer relationship manager systems, CRMs, and explore how they drive success in sales, marketing, and customer service. So one thing is clear, because of their many advantages for improving business processes at scale, CRMs are catching on like wildfire. So consider the following stats. I'm an engineer by deep background. I love numbers. So we'll do this quickly and then we'll dive into our questions. This is our stats from a fresh survey of 600 business owners and professionals in sales, customer service, IT, and marketing. First one, businesses that use a CRM are 86% more likely to exceed their sales goals than those that don't. Second, most businesses saw their sales revenue increase by 21 to 30% after implementing a CRM. Third, most businesses find that CRMs shorten their average sales cycle by 8 to 14 days. Fourth, most businesses find that CRMs save their employees 5 to 10 hours per week. And the fifth and final statistic is nearly half of businesses, 49%, saw their customer acquisition cost decrease by 11 to 20% with the CRM platform. So that sounds pretty compelling, but let's dig into the details. So we're going to start with what is a CRM and Ian, my first ERM. Ian, my first question goes to you. How would you explain the core purpose of a CRM to someone who's never used one?
Yeah, first of all, I'd talk really slow and I would say it's a customer relationship management system. And I don't think people should lose sight of that. That is the core purpose of a CRM system. It's got its tentacles out into a lot of different areas now, like marketing automation and some other things. And even customer intelligence, which is very cool. But it's really about how do we as businesses effectively track, organize, manage, and keep information about our customers and prospects at our fingertips, at the touch of a button or at a phone call that could actually pop up and prompt you with information about the person calling you. How do you do that? And the best way to do that is to leverage a system like this, where you can track phone calls, you can keep notes, you can have custom fields, you can do all sorts of things. But the whole purpose is really so that you have an intelligent way to have a conversation with your customers and prospects. The antithesis of that, I think we've all experienced, and that's where in Canada, we have three main telecom companies. There's a few others, but they're all kind of owned by the same guys anyways. And these guys, because they have this monopoly, they're absolutely horrible at customer relationships. And even though they have CRM systems, they don't use them well. And they have all these disjointed systems that talk. So as an example, the one that I was with for, it was probably 15 years. I can't tell you the number of times where I would update my contact information with them. Like they're like, Mr. Cantel, are you still at, this and this address and at this and this number? And I'd be like, nope, haven't been there for 15 years, And so you'd update them. They did the right thing. They did the right activity. They were even putting it, at least I assume they were, into their CRM system, but they had a problem. Either their people weren't trained to check the CRM system or they had a broken CRM system. But that's the antithesis.
Or they forgot to hit the save button.
Yeah. And these are, Fortune 500 businesses. But that's kind of the antithesis or the reverse or the opposite of what we're talking about. When a client or a prospect that you've already spoken with calls you up, you should be able to, they want to feel like you know who they are. And the best way to do that is to have in the old days, you'd have a Rolodex, or you'd have a notebook with notes about your clients. This is far more intelligent. It's easier to use. It's just a way to have intelligence about the people you're talking with. So as an example too, this is how dentists know when your birthday is, and they send you a birthday card, right? Like they use practice management software, but it's a CRM system that integrates with the actual medical records, right? So there's different versions of this depending on the industry you're in, but it really is all about how do we use a tool or a system that's going to help us better manage our client relationships.
Yeah, I think that R in CRM is probably the most important letter, right? It's all about
Yeah.
relationships and strengthening relationships. And then you can get into, customer loyalty and differentiation. You're not just a number. A lot of the things we're going to talk about later in the podcast. So, Paul, what features should every CRM have to support small and medium-sized businesses? This is an open-ended question if I ever wrote one, right?
Well, I've been in business for 20 years and I don't need no CRM. That seems to be a common response. But CRMs, they've been around for a long time, and the better ones have really evolved into being what I consider like a complete marketing platform. It's more than just contacts. Obviously, yes, you want contact management. You want lead tracking. When CRMs first started being used, they really didn't have automation tools. The technology wasn't there. You want the CRM to be scaled. The platform we use, we can have an unlimited number of contacts, which is pretty unique because a lot of CRMs out there, for X amount of dollars, you can have this many contacts, and then you move up to another tier where you pay more to have more contacts. So that's definitely something to think about. But aside from the basics of contact management, and you want to have automations, you want the CRM to have I'm not going to get into what this means, but an open API, so that you can integrate with other software. But the more things you can do within your CRM, because in the past it was a matter of you had to basically kind of duct tape things together. That's where Zapier, and Zapier is a great tool. We use it for a lot of things, but that's where it was like, okay, the CRM won't do this. So we have the CRM, but we need this other feature. So now you get another piece of software that you integrate with your CRM, and then you need another feature that the CRM doesn't do. So you go get another third-party piece of software, and you, in some way, shape, or form, integrate that with your CRM. And those create potential breaking points. So the more things that you can have integrated with your CRM, or the more things the CRM will do without having to use that third-party software, the better off you are. And a big part of that is knowing what questions to ask if you're talking to someone, because a lot of these CRMs, they're operational software with a primitive CRM slapped on top of it. They're not true CRMs. And you see that a lot with a lot of this operational type of software out there. And, what's that?
Go ahead.
Call tracking, if you can have call tracking integrated with your CRM, that's another big advantage. If you can have your ability to send emails, they're all going to use an SMTP provider on the back end somehow. But if it's integrated within the CRM, instead of having to go manually integrate a third party, like the CRM, the system we use, ultimately it uses Mailgun on the back end, which almost all of them do. but we don't have to go get a separate Mailgun account. It's all within the CRM system that we use. So, I mean, I think it's just CRMs have evolved. If you maybe 10 years ago used a CRM, the CRMs that are out there now are drastically different than what they were a few years ago.
Yeah, they are rapidly evolving, and just like everything else, it's like, now with AI,
Yeah,
AI
the
tools are
system we
coming into
use has
play.
AI voice integrated into it. It has AI chatting. It has all kinds of AI features, which a
But
lot
I
of
think,
them don't have, at least not yet.
you mentioned some of those key areas and things that you want to do. You mentioned scalability. I think one of the big things in CRM, and the reason that we titled this show, "What Does CRM Mean to You?" is because it's really about implementing a business process, right? And every business has their own business process. I think we're going to talk about that a little bit later too. It's like, you conform to the CRM, or does the CRM conform to you? But at the end of the day, it's about pulling a lot of things together in one place, making it easier, making it more effective, and providing a better experience for your customer. So Ken, let's kind of go counter a little bit. What are some of the biggest misconceptions about CRMs, and how do they differ from reality?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people think that they can't afford a CRM, or that they're too complex to be able to use. The reality is that anymore, as Paul kind of started to talk about a little bit, CRMs have been started to incorporate a lot of features so that if you buy the right CRM, you can actually effectively eliminate many of the other tool costs that you have. And so historically, if you had been doing a pretty robust marketing program in the past, you had to have a landing page builder. You needed to have, probably an email marketing system. You might have had a simple contact management system. Just a few examples there, that every time you created a new, sales funnel where you were driving people to a landing page to get them to take an action, and then you were going to nurture them and try to deliver that asset to them, you classically had to use and integrate 3 different tools. And, that required some technical skills to do that integration. You had to understand, more technical tools. And so a good CRM, actually has all of that integrated together so that when you create these things, you're not actually having to go out and use a lot of third-party connection tools like either their APIs, webhooks, or tools like Zapier or whatnot. In terms of complexity, a CRM can be as simple or as complex as you want to make it. And you talked about processes. I think a good CRM gives you the ability to tailor it to your processes instead of mandating the processes that you have to follow. Unless those processes are really very, very consistent, 80-90% consistent with what you're already doing, you're going to stop using the software very quickly. I mean, just look at the old enterprise resource planning statistics and work that's been done out there. You're either talking about massive budget overruns to implement a system because people hated it and weren't using it, but they already made a massive investment to start using it. So then they had to make a massive investment to go modify it and change it so that people would start to use it. That's more, mid and large size companies, but that is a pervasive problem that filters down to smaller businesses. They hear stories about that. If they left corporate world, they probably had an experience or heard people in their organization talking about an experience like that, and so that's kind of jaded them to think that it's too difficult. Really, in this day and age, speed of response, we talk about it over and over and over again, is such an important thing. And if you don't have a system in place that allows you to be the first business to respond and consistently, so response is step 1, step 2 is follow-up. And that's why CRMs exist and where their real power is. I know we're going to get into that more in a minute, but they're easier to use than they have been in the past. I would caution our listeners and viewers to not buy a solution just because it says CRM, that they've branded it that way. Because look, everybody's trying to brand themselves as an AI tool and a CRM, from that classic space. Contact management systems or email marketing systems, MailChimp calls themselves a CRM now. And MailChimp historically was, one of the best, very best, easiest to use tools out there for people to do email marketing. So it was a fantastic tool. We all loved it when it first came out. It was kind of a, the cool new tool that had a great user interface for a very long time. They're trying to add on and bolt on functionality that really isn't in their wheelhouse, just to remain relevant and keep their subscriber base. So I would caution businesses about staying with a tool just because you know how to use that one feature that you absolutely love at the expense of getting a tool that's really robust. Because here's the news flash, folks. Chances are the price for a real true CRM could be about the same as what you're paying for your literally just the email marketing tool that you've been using. Because as Paul mentioned, they typically charge by the total number of contacts that you have. And so if you built up contacts, your price goes way up. Keep, formerly Infusionsoft, has that same model. They were just acquired. MailChimp, has the same model. Constant Contact, same model. You pay per contact. And so costs can really add up very, very quickly. So if you think you can't afford it, take a look at what you're already paying for and see what you can eliminate, and then look at all the extra features you might get. So that'd be one thing that I would say. The other thing is, I think a lot of people think that CRMs are only for the salespeople, and really, CRMs have great application for project management, potentially, if they have the operational aspects that Paul was talking about. They have fantastic information that you can collect and maintain in a central contact record for like customer support. The marketing team can see, what activities people are doing, pre-sales, what campaigns are working, where to dial in the investments, where maybe there are gaps. And then the salespeople can use it to track opportunities and close deals, and attach revenue to each of these opportunities, so that, when you look at, it's easy to think, okay, yeah, I got 6 leads out there. Okay, well, if 3 of those leads are $50, and 3 of those leads are $5,000, now you have to have a conversation to explain to somebody, we need to go focus on these $5,000 opportunities, not these, $50 opportunities or whatnot. And so you don't have a common tool to share that information, and the CRM gives you that. So it's a tool that spans the organization, and you can have users from a wide range of job functions using your CRM for different purposes. But all the key is the data that you maintain about that customer or that business is housed, in a single contact record or a single business record.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the other things that didn't really come out as much as we work through these questions is from the management aspect of the overall view that you can get of your business, right?
Yeah.
You can see how many sales opportunities out there. Like you said, are they big? Are they small? But you can get reporting over time. If you're connected in with your call tracking, as Paul mentioned, you can get reporting about calls and who's answering calls and how effective they are. You can track it back to, where are customers in their life cycle, in their flow. You can look at each customer in their sales history. You can look at the overall performance of the business. You can bring everything into a common dashboard that gives you a good picture of your organization from a sales point of view, a marketing point of view, potentially a customer service point of view, as you said. So that kind of leads us into our next segment of the podcast, which is some use cases for CRMs. So Ian, how do CRMs support sales teams in their day-to-day activities?
Yeah. So One thing I should mention, I think it's been covered, but the because it's customer relationship management, right? This covers every single touch point your business has, and although I think oftentimes, because our agencies and a lot of our clients are modest in size, meaning they might be, the average client might be, 30 employees or less, right? But a small business, at least the definition of it is, up to 99 employees and beyond. Like, it depends which industry you're looking at. Manufacturing is much bigger than that, right? Some of it has to do with revenue. So I wanted to touch on that because the use cases you have differ greatly depending on the structure of your business.
Mhm.
So if you're say you have a small a small roofing company, you have two sales guys, two sales people, you have a receptionist, you have a support person, you have installers, you have management, and there might be a whole bunch of other jobs in there as well. But through the first of all, the buyer's journey that somebody's on, they might they might visit your website, they might see you on social media and react to something, they might meet you at a trade show, they might just call you because they found you on Google. They're searching for a roofer. There's a lot of different ways people can come into your universe as a business, and then how that person then interacts with you. So at a trade show, a CRM system that is on your phone as well, which most are now, right? If they're not, they're archaic and you should probably move. But your sales team or your team that's at the trade show can take notes on the person. They can use a QR code so the person can enter a contest, and then you automatically get their information. Like, there's a bunch of different things, but they can take notes. So if somebody expresses an interest in a particular service you have, the salespeople can follow up, right? That first of all is a key part of kind of the use case. But then as you flow through what that different use cases might be, the information you can find within a good CRM system is like, how many times have they been to your website? What pages did they look at? Did they download documents off of your website? If you have lead magnets or information, if it's a B2B, maybe you have white papers. Did they chat with your chatbot or with a person through online chat? Did they call you? Did they book an appointment? Did you deliver a proposal? Did you send them documents? Do you have meeting notes from the actual meetings you had? Support tickets, complaints. And at the beginning, you might have lead scoring as well, right? Some of these systems can do that. And then, from a sales perspective, what's the win-loss reporting, right? You can do all sorts of things within there. And what it does is it gives the business extreme amount of intelligence from the marketing side, through the sales, through the customer service. It gives you a full 360 ability to manage that client, even before they're a client, but then put them into pipelines, automate follow-ups, do lead scoring, prioritize which deals are most likely to close so your people can focus on those. You can do sales forecasting. It's an organizational tool which brings continuity to the relationship, because regardless of who they're talking to in your business, your people will have access to the information that everybody else has access to. So you don't look like dummies, right? Because we've all called up businesses and they're like, oh, you've been our client for 10 years. Okay. And they know nothing about you. But everybody wants to be treated not like a number, but as a person and a special, you're paying that company, so you want to feel special. And I think that's, I kind of put a lot of things in there, but I think depending on your business, that you have different use cases, but hopefully I gave kind of a broad smattering of, this is what a use case could look like for your business, and this is how you could leverage a CRM in that.
Yeah, no, that's good from the sales point of view, for sure. That's, I think, almost where CRMs originated. They kind of grew up out, at least that's my perception, maybe because of the way I've seen them and used them myself. But even a solopreneur can use them, because it's about
Absolutely.
organizing the process, right? It's about tracking where people are and knowing what they need at the right time based on where they are, as you said, in the buyer's journey. And then tying it into some of the automations, being able to track where they are, score based on, lead scoring based on certain actions they take, and then use that to gauge their interest and know what to do next or what to send them next. Really powerful. And that can be used whether it's a team of people or a solo. And if it's a team of people, I think the statistics I rattled off the top, related to the sales growth and sales effectiveness, that's because the CRMs make the process much more efficient. And, if your customers, your ideal clients are getting the right information they need at the right time, the right amount of attention at the right time, because the CRM reminded you, hey, it's time to make a phone call to them, they're going to feel better about doing business with you, and they're more likely to buy. So, yeah, all good stuff.
Hey, Jeff, I just wanted to add, like, thinking about the solopreneurs. So when I think about solopreneurs, I often think of, coaches, consultants, and imagine you're a coach or a consultant and you have, 15 clients, so 15 people you're coaching. How do you keep them all straight, right? Like, of course you can keep a notebook. You could keep a separate notebook for each person and pull it out, and that's old school. But a CRM system not only will help you organize it all, but if you wish to grow your practice, your consultancy, your coaching gig with multiple people coaching or consulting, you absolutely need something that's going to make it for them to pick up the conversation and the notes and be able to help people for sure.
Yeah.
What about Post-it notes, Ian? Do those work?
I don't want to comment on that because my wife likes Post-it notes. So, and I have a few kicking around here, but no, not for customer relationship management.
So, Ken, let's take a look at marketing. What role do CRMs play in enhancing marketing efforts?
Yeah, well, I heard a statistic last night from Perry Belcher, who is kind of an unknown. If you're a practitioner of marketing, you know who he is probably, but if you're just a user of marketing services, you probably don't know. But he's absolutely one of the most influential people on the planet, in my opinion, in terms of marketing. He talked about a statistic that one of the major CRM providers out there recently released within the matter of a couple of days, I think, that only 2.4% of small businesses are using a CRM. Now, that, keep in mind, that ranges from the solopreneur. There are, for every 100-person business, there are, exponentially more single-person businesses, right? So there's a wide range of business size and business type in that overall statistic. But what that leads me to immediately think is, if you're using a CRM, you probably already have a leg up over your competition. And so it creates a competitive advantage. Just the fact that you have that tool, you're capturing the information, gives you such a great opportunity to have differentiation. It gives you the ability to handle the speed of response. So when somebody calls your business, instead of getting trapped in a phone tree, you can have an AI voice agent that actually interactively helps them get their question answered, and maybe even take a meaningful action to do something with the business, to move it from, oh, I just have a question, to, oh, I'm ready for somebody to come out and give me an estimate, and actually get it booked, or deliver a key piece of information that they might need to have, or even do that for a customer, where a customer is like, I just bought this from you. I lost my owner's manual. Can you send me a new copy? Boom. You know what? AI voice or an AI chatbot, either one can be trained to do that without having to have somebody from your team pull away from other important interactions they have. Massive, massive, massive opportunities here. We look at what's happening in the world of AI, and the pace of change is only going to accelerate. It's going to be dramatic over the next 3 years, what we see happening thanks to AI. And AI is going to be baked into these tools more and more. So it's going to help you write better messages, be better at predicting, next likely behaviors, so that you can help guide that journey a little bit better to how it aligns with you. The customer is always going to be in control of the journey, but if we can use tools to help us better align and maybe influence and kind of nudge that journey, that's a huge win, and that's what these tools do for you. Anywhere from personalization, where you send an email to somebody, either as part of a newsletter, or just sending an email to 5 different people at the same time with the same content, like, oh, hey, you bought this tool from us, here's a great new feature update. Instead of having to go in and personalize every single email individually, with a CRM, it can pull that in for you. And email marketing tools can do that to a degree as well. But the segmentation and the personalization is a really important aspect of this. Automation is massive. I talked about AI, so you combine automation and AI together, and you have the ability. Look, it all requires human oversight, so you can't just set it and forget it, but it can accelerate the process where you can actually do more with less of your time, as long as you're focusing on making sure that somebody has that quality assurance and oversight role before you actually execute the content, the campaign, and whatnot. But marketing automation and AI in combination is a game changer. And if you're not doing it today, you will have competitors that are going to be doing it, and you will probably start to fall in rankings and probably start to fall in the number of leads that you're getting, unless you're just really fortunate in working in an old school model where you get all the business you need from referrals. There are businesses that can function and operate and survive that way. I think that's going to become less and less likely as we move forward. But hey, if that's what's been working for you, congratulations. But I think
But
you're taking a
monitor it,
serious
because it may
risk.
not be working.
Yeah,
It may not work going
exactly.
forward.
Yeah. And then,
Yeah.
I think we're still really early in this, in terms of what I'm seeing from CRMs, in terms of campaign analytics. They give you campaign analytics so you can see the performance of individual campaigns. You can do split testing with a lot of the good CRMs that are out there. What we're not seeing yet is the AI interpretation of the campaign performance to suggest improvements for your next campaign. Although I'm sure that that's going to be coming very soon in many of these platforms. I'm sure it's already there in larger platforms like Salesforce, maybe a HubSpot, but you're talking about, 10, 15, 20-fold increase in price for what a small business CRM typically is when you're getting to those tool levels. Microsoft Dynamics CRM, for example, all of those tools are dramatically more expensive, and they're really not designed for the small business like Ian talked about. Ranging from 30 employees typically to a solopreneur, or even the 99 down to a solopreneur. They're really more for that,
Enterprise.
100, 500, up to 5,000 user or enterprise level users. So those are the big things that I see in terms of enhanced marketing opportunities. Literally just using one, getting standardized processes in place to capture information, and building automated campaigns to automatically follow up and nurture with people, or send reminders to people if you haven't had an interaction with a customer for 60 days. Is it time to send a notification to somebody on your team that maybe they need to reach out? Again, that's going to vary. That time frame is going to vary based on the type of business that you have. If you're a roofer, that wouldn't make sense. Maybe 60 days after your roof was installed to follow up, or 30 days after the roof was installed, just to make sure everything's good. You can automate that. And instead of, because we all get busy. And when we get busy, what do? We forget things. And when you forget things, people start to feel taken for granted. And so this gives you the tool set to make you better at closing, better at follow-up, better at nurturing, and just better at maintaining that relationship. Like you said, Jeff, the R, that's a really important word in the CRM acronym.
Yeah, Ken, you said a couple things back to back in your first part of the answer to this. I want to go back and hit on a little bit. You talked about the automations. You talked about human oversight
Yeah.
and not just relying on automation. I can't agree more. So here's the way I explain it. That old saying, "It takes 7 times to get somebody's attention." In the current era we're in, with being bombarded by digital information and emails and text messages and everything, it's at least double that. We've seen some industries, the car industry for one, I think even 10 years ago they were saying it could take as many as 50 touches
Yeah.
before a sale was made. And if you're a business owner, you don't want to, nor should you be doing every one of those personally, manually dialing the phone, typing the email. The flip side is you can't seed all of that to a workflow automation or bots or phone spammer, spam dialer kind of things. So it's a combination. But what the CRM can do is it can remind you, hey, you haven't talked to this contact in a week. It's time to call them. Or
they haven't opened their proposal in a week or in
Yeah.
2 days. Follow up with them. Yeah.
Right. Or they've just hit a certain lead score, a certain part of their buyer's journey, and they get tagged to be sent, a piece of literature. So those
Yeah.
are the kinds of things we're talking about that CRMs really, really start to shine and do a lot of benefits for business owners. So we've talked about sales, we've talked about marketing. There's other aspects of CRM. So Paul, how about customer service experiences? How can CRMs help businesses with that?
Well, I guess I think we've kind of covered it. I think the biggest thing I'd add is that, people don't leave voicemails anymore. They hate phone trees. It just pisses people off. And because phone trees are not there for the customer, it's there for the business. But something, when you use AI technology, whether it's voice agent or a chat bot, it can answer customers' questions and it can trigger actions based on what the customer says. So if you're kind of business that you offer, 15 different services, if the customer says, what services do you offer, you can list them, and then you can ask him if you want to be sent a detailed list of, and you do this through email or a link through text, but a list of the services and an explanation of them. And if they say yes, it can immediately trigger an action that sends that to them. So that is definitely going to improve the customer experience. And you may not need a full-blown AI chatbot, but just having that little chat widget down in the corner on every page of your website, people don't have to go to your contact form. They can just say, hey, here's my name and phone and email address, and this is my question, and you can get back to them. Because if people are filling out a form or interacting with a chat, which are a voice AI, and the voice AI can really help small businesses, because you may not have someone in the office. If you're service area business, you may be out in the field working, and if people call and they get a voicemail, there's a good chance they're just going to call someone else. Whereas an AI voice agent can help prevent that, because you can do a lot of different things with it. So if
cheaper
you're
than having
not,
a human.
What's that?
Cheaper than having humans do it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And more consistent and more accurate once they're properly trained.
A lot of small businesses are using like a call center kind of thing, and those are expensive. You're talking $400 to $600 a month, and a lot of times they're really not all that good. And a lot of them, because they're not dedicated to just your business, they're answering calls for a lot of different businesses, and all they do is take down the information and pass it on to the business. If the caller has questions about services, or any of your frequently asked questions, which every business should have on their website, by the way, they probably can't answer them. All they can really do is say, hey, I'll have someone from the business reach out to you. And it's better than nothing. It's better than not answering the phone, but that's not the best customer experience.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think if you look at how did specifically, call in or let's just say call in customer support, somebody has a question, it's evolved for the benefit of the business at the expense of customer service, right? It evolved. Let's do away with the receptionist. We don't have to pay a receptionist to route calls if we have phone, menu trees. Let's push the call center offshore because it's cheaper. And now you've got customers that are annoyed because they can't figure out where their question fits into the tree. They can't talk to somebody that understands their terminology and they can't understand them because of an accent. And now this is all changing. It's all coming back with, we talked about AI conversation on a phone answering. If somebody can actually, hey, I want to know, what are your hours? And the thing can just respond. Or, for a roofer, do you service metal roofs? No, I'm sorry, we only work in asphalt shingle. Those kinds of things, they're happening right there on the fly. They're and the answers people want, and they're easy to understand. And if it hits something it can't handle, then it says, let me get somebody back in touch with you. And it's the best of both worlds. It's efficiency and economy of scale for the business owners, and it's a better experience for the customer.
Yeah, not only does it there's also a customer service disruption that happens when you have to stop and answer the phone. So if you're a hair salon, and you're a stylist and, you're closest to the phone, or you're the only one there, nobody is there to answer the phone. What do you stop doing? You stop cutting the hair or, whatever treatment you were, or whatever you were doing, whatever service you were providing, to go answer the phone. We all can identify with. It's like, wait a minute, I was here first. Why are you giving somebody else priority over me when I was here first and you were working and you're halfway through what you're doing with me? That's not a good customer experience, folks. So, and 9 times out of 10, it's to answer a spam phone call. Oh, we're trying to sell you a water cooler for your salon, or, something that you're not actively looking for. Or it's to answer questions like, are you open on Saturdays? Do you offer this type of hair coloring? And that can all be answered in a super quality way with AI, whether it's a text widget on your website using AI conversation, or it's an AI voice agent if they're calling your business. So there's a customer service disruption factor that people aren't factoring in as well.
Let me pop up a level 2 and say, from the overall experience point of view, it's not just how people experience it in the interaction, it's how they experience the overall service event. So if you're a business that takes service calls or has to respond to support requests or those kinds of things, again, going back to the business process and using a CRM to implement moving things through a business process, you could conceive of a pipeline, in the CRM term, a workflow where somebody makes a request and then it gets looked at by somebody and it gets sent to R&D. Whatever your business, whatever that workflow is through resolving an issue, can be tracked into CRM. And what does that do? It saves you having to, oh, that's in my email someplace. Oh yeah, 3 weeks ago somebody asked me about that. I forgot about it. I got to go find their email buried below the other 3,000 emails at the top of my inbox, right? CRMs are huge for organizing and enabling business process, and that right there can be gold in the customer experience.
Yeah.
Ian, we don't mean to be cutting you out. Do you have any thoughts on the customer service aspect of CRMs before we move to the next one?
Yeah, I think it's all about, if I were to sum up customer service with CRM systems, it's really about the continuity of care and relationship, right? Like if it brings a level of continuity that you can't possibly have any other way, even if it's a solopreneur, but especially if you have team members. Once you start introducing more and more people to the relationship, you need to have this tool to help with continuity, and I think that's a really important thing. Yeah, I think everything else that was covered was really good.
So let's we're about 15 minutes to go here. Let's move into our third segment, which is a little bit of a deeper dive into some of the specific aspects of marketing and CRMs. I know we've been hitting on a bunch of this already, Paul, but can you just kind of maybe recap or highlight some of the key benefits of using a CRM for marketing automation?
Yeah, I think some of the biggest things are it saves time. It saves your staff time because they don't have to do repetitive tasks. We have a client that wasn't using a CRM, and then they finally got someone in the office that saw the value in this. And when someone books an appointment, even if they don't self-book, if the person that's booking that appointment is using the CRM and puts that appointment on the calendar, it immediately sends out, it triggers a workflow that sends out an email, says, here's what to expect for your upcoming inspection. It's mold inspection. Here's what you need to do to prepare. And it has a picture of the inspector, because you're bringing someone, we've talked about this before. You're letting someone into your house. So here's who's going to be coming out. And then once that inspection is completed, another automation is triggered that says that tells them when they're going to receive their report and gives them, again, their inspector's contact information in case they have any questions. They can contact that inspector. They were doing all this by hand, and she was spending like 3 hours a day just doing that.
Wow.
So because she was doing it all manually, she was crafting these emails manually. She wasn't even using an email template. So everything was a manual process. So just doing that, overall, I think she told me one time that it does take some upfront work to get this stuff in place, but it wound up saving her over 4 hours a day, almost 5 hours a day, once the CRM was implemented, and all the things that she was doing manually that she no longer had to do saved her about between 4 and 5 hours a day, almost.
More
so
than
now
the
there's
CRM.
consistency in customer interaction. The branding is consistent. You know, it's not hit or miss. Oh, I forgot to add my email signature, yada, yada, yada. I mean, you can bake this in and standardize, you know, and the brand messaging that you're doing, leveraging this too, right, Paul?
Yeah. Every email that goes out has their logo in it, their contact information. I mean, she was working 10, 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
So yeah, she loved it.
So Ken, I have to ask the omni-channel question. We talk about omni-channel a lot. So
yeah,
how do CRMs support omni-channel marketing strategies?
Yeah, so a good CRM is going to be able to capture information from multiple channels and put them into a single, system and database. Whether that's Facebook direct message or Instagram direct message, whether it's a message from the website, a phone call. It can collect and put all of that information into a single database and attach it to that customer record. If you're using third-party tools or like social media tools, you're at the mercy of the information that you get. So there's varying degrees there. So capturing lead information, for one, is kind of centralized. So that's nice. You don't have to go back and recreate that, by doing the old copy and paste and say, oh yeah, I got a direct message from this person over here on Facebook. I found their Facebook profile. I don't know how to email them, but I know their Facebook profile. Put that in my CRM. Okay, you had to do that manually if you're not using an integrated CRM, for example. So that's nice. The other thing is, outbound messaging. You can set up, an outreach campaign, a follow-up campaign. If, like, for example, if somebody downloads an ebook or signs up for a webinar, you can send them an email. You can send them a text. You could also send them a voicemail reminder, especially like if it's an event. I think a voicemail reminder is a nice touch sometimes, where you actually can use the phone system to deliver a voicemail message to them to say, hey, remember, we're starting in 30 minutes, but if you can't make it live, it'll be recorded, but if you can make it live, here's, make sure you check your email or your text message for your links to be able to join. And it increases show rates, and that's a big deal. If you don't want to do that, and you don't want to send people what some people might think again are annoying, and again, you have to be really careful when you're using that kind of a communication strategy. It really needs to be done very sensitively, and you don't want to overdo it at all. A lot of businesses, that's all they do is they automate, phone call spam. It's technically not it's not robocalling technically, so they can still do it and get away with it, but it's annoying as heck, and we've all gotten them. I won't go down that rabbit hole, but there is a good use of that technology. And so you can use that appropriately under the right guidance of, marketing strategists. But what you can also do is you can also use a CRM to send a notification to your project manager or to your salesperson, depending on, the message that comes in, to say, hey, this person just contacted us. Or, as we've talked about, it's been 3 days since they've downloaded this ebook. Here's a reminder, give them a call, see if they have any questions, and send that message to your salesperson. And the salesperson can get that message, and they can literally, just tap on the message and place that phone call without even having to look up the customer number if you set that up right. So there's a productivity gain there. And there's also, you're not letting your leads and your follow-up fall through the cracks. That's, you work hard to get a lead. You get hard to be found. When somebody's doing a search, the last thing you want to do is when they do reach out to your business, you're not getting their information in the first place because it's fallen through the cracks. If they fill out a form, maybe you're not going in and logging into your website to look at the form. Maybe you forgot to, you read the message, but then got busy and you forgot to get back to them because it wasn't, there was no reminder or record of that call or that email. So use the features of the CRM to communicate in a variety of ways. I mean, you can even hook it up to where, based on certain activities, if you've got it set up with a third-party provider, I don't know any CRM that has this baked in right now, but you can actually send a postcard, based on an activity, so that now you're getting a direct mail touch, in addition to the digital touches that you might have, the phone calls, the emails, the communications through social platforms. AI gives you the ability even to, again, whether this is a good and smart way to do it or not, it's a capability that is there for you now in many CRMs, where you can use AI to respond and write your review requests, or to write a response to a comment on a social media post.
Mhm.
And that can all be done and automated for you on AI. Again, I'm not here to argue whether that's the right or wrong thing to do. There are a lot of bad applications for that, but there are some good applications for that. But the point is, the technology gives you the ability to communicate across multiple channels where it doesn't require the project management and scheduling and reminders to do manual tasks. And most of the time, those don't get done.
I think one of the really cool things with this CRM, I can think of some of them almost being the quarterback of omni-channel, or at least multi-channel, if not everywhere.
Yeah.
Because you said like direct mail out postcards may not be there yet. It will be soon. But certainly for multi-channel approaches, emails, text, the ability for one place to kind of be the quarterback of what goes out when, and also adapt. If somebody replies via a text message, you can now personalize the next email they get. So there's a lot of really cool things that you can do in there.
Yeah.
We're coming
Great
up on
point.
time. I want to get to Ian on this question. And so let's do that. Let's jump to insights, Ian, your question is, what insights can CRMs provide to marketers, and how can they act on this data?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the CRM system, but I know, the one that I think all of us here use, but also other ones I've used in the past. The better the CRM, the better the metrics, analytics, data, insights, all of that kind of stuff. The key is, if your CRM system can track something, if you can do something through it, it should be tracking it. But key metrics like lead scoring, so having different criteria about what things you want to add scores to when somebody does something. So if they visit your website, it might be, a small score. If they fill in a form, that might be a much bigger score. If they have an appointment, again, it's so that you and your team can actually look at the value or the prioritize reaching out to people because they're showing interest. Connecting campaign or even all marketing ROI to actual revenue. I mean, that's kind of the gold metric, where for any marketer, for any business that's investing in marketing, you want to create that direct connection between, here's the marketing we're doing, here's the revenue we've produced, which marketing strategies and tactics influenced the sales, right? I mean, that's how you know, hey, we should be doing more of this or less of this. So that's a real key one. Customer lifetime value, engagement rates, data-driven decisions. I would say, like, I'm just going to list a whole bunch of things that a good CRM can track. Contact lead scoring, I mentioned. Lead source reporting. Where did these people come from? Contact activity. Are they stagnant? Are they active? Are they looking at emails or aren't they looking at emails? Are they talking to people or aren't they talking to people? Segmentation. Who are the people in our contact database, whether they're customers or prospects or contacts? What are their demographics? What makes them unique so that we can talk to them? Appointments, canceled appointments, email analytics, funnel analytics, form analytics, call analytics. I mean, conversations and messaging analytics, conversion rates. But all of those things can be tracked in a good CRM system, and it can be overwhelming. But the point is, if you can track it, you can use the data-driven insights to guide decision-making and ultimately connect that return on investment from what you're investing in. And I think those are the key insights that you need to make sure that your CRM system can do.
Yeah, it's you hit on a bunch of things there. It's essentially the pulse of your business, right? And the lifeblood of your customers and the relationships you have with them, and where they're going, and allowing you to look at things and make decisions and make adjustments. Are there any pitfalls of all this stuff that we have available?
Are you asking generally?
I would say in general, or related to analytics and that kind of stuff.
Well, let's say related to the things you just rattled off, and then we go to Ken for the in general answer.
Yeah. I think a lot of people get stuck on vanity metrics. So an example of that, the easiest example, is just like social media or some email metrics that don't really tell you anything about the story. So I think vanity metrics, meaning they're just vain. They just kind of pump you up, but there's no substance there. So you got to be careful about which metrics you care most about.
And then, Ken, did you have a more general?
Well, I was just going to kind of dive in. I think one of the big challenges that businesses have is, if they do decide to make an investment in a CRM, what's the primary use case that they want to try to use it for? And I would just say, don't try to eat the elephant all at once, right? I mean, eat it a bite at a time. If you have customer churn, then maybe and you're losing customers, and you're constantly fighting to stay where you're at, then maybe you need to really look at implementing the customer service aspect of a CRM. But if you're not getting the leads that you need to have to grow, then you need to look. And look, this is probably the thing that I think almost every business could use as a starting point. If you literally just use it as a way to start initially capturing all leads in every possible source. And again, that's implementing like an AI voice solution, so that you capture the people who aren't leaving those voicemails. 80% of people don't leave voicemails if they get voicemail. And then nurturing people to so that you're automating and implementing better follow-up procedures. Those are the two things, and I think that's the primary use case I would say almost every small business can immediately take advantage of. But like I said, if you have a bleeding neck issue, like you're losing customers because of customer churn, then you can use a CRM to address that pain point specifically and implement a better customer satisfaction, customer support process.
Sure.
If I
So
can just add
Go
a
ahead.
plug. I know a lot of businesses struggle with choosing like what CRM because it's a very noisy space. I always suggest to people exploring this, whether they're clients, contacts, whatever, is ask an expert to help you through this process, especially an expert that knows what you're trying to achieve as an end goal. Because they'll be able to help you do a needs analysis for today, but also understand the systems enough and what the future looks like in those systems to be able to guide you into the near future, so that like the worst thing you want to do is invest in a CRM system that you're only going to use for a year, because the hassle and the incredible pain of moving your data over to a new system and field matching and blah, blah, blah. Like you're going to lose some of the intelligence from there. So ask an expert. They'll help you through the process, and they'll help you choose well.
And also cost analysis, because you probably have already bought a bunch of tools that you've been piecemealing and probably paying for subscriptions that you've forgotten about. So as you're going through that, definitely look at inventory and of the tools that you have and what you're paying for those.
Yeah, those are all good points, and kind of leads into the wrap up. I was going to do another section of lightning round on tips for choosing the CRM that's right for your business. But I think since we're pressed on time, what I'm going to do with that is say, look, the CRM is the future. All of the capabilities and possibilities that it offers is huge. But how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time definitely applies. You can get started with the CRM as a contact manager and then grow the other things into it. So don't let that be too daunting. However, you do need to have kind of a growth path or a vision. And that takes us back to the topic, what does CRM mean to you? And it's going to be different for different businesses. For some, it's all about sales. For some, it's about marketing. For some, it's about tracking customer service cases. None of those are right or wrong, but there are different CRMs that have different strengths and weaknesses. So back to Ian's point, engage an expert. So rather than us doing a lightning round on tips for choosing a CRM, let me just say that we all have experience in multiple CRMs. We've been in and out of different ones over the years. We've all centered on one common one, I think, for our businesses. But we are more than happy to sit down and talk to you about what does CRM mean to you and how to implement it in your business. So look us up. You can, find us online. I'm going to move to the close unless anyone else has any quick comments that you want to make. All right, then I think this is a good place to wrap up. So I thank you all for sharing your expertise. We've learned a lot about CRMs. They are definitely not just tools, but strategic assets that can help transform really how your businesses operate and how your customers experience it. So if you're not already using one, we challenge you to take the time to assess your processes and how adopting a CRM might enhance your sales, your marketing, or your customer service. And if you're using another CRM, is it the right one for you? Are you using it effectively? Maybe it's as simple as finding a new feature that you're not exploiting that can be a game changer for you. But if you need a guide along the way, we are the marketing guides for small business. So look one of us up. Ian, as is our tradition, would you like to take us out?
Absolutely. We appreciate everyone who's joined us today. I appreciate the marketing guides for all of the wisdom you shared today. Spread the news, spread the word that we are here, and we are here to help people by delivering information to them, help, support. And if you have a marketing challenge, reach out to one of us. We're here to help. We love helping businesses thrive. So until next week, folks, keep calm and market on.
Thanks, everyone.